Once again, it's time to take a look back at a forgotten race from a lower series. I've dug through the archives, and today I've come up with a real gem, the 2007 Pennsylvania 200, an ARCA race from Pocono, which, if we can see through the really low quality of the original upload onto YouTube, has a bunch of things going for it in terms of recognizable names and in action. Here's 3 things to look for that have changed since this particular event was held. Number 1, the size of the field. 2007 was in the middle of an era of ARCA racing where a ton of people would enter these races. For various reasons, cars were really affordable and available. 45 showed up at each race at this track, with the max size of 40 taking the green. Number 2, pit and fuel strategy. Pocono was good for this in ARCA, especially in the longer of the 2 events they'd hold. Sort of the great equalizer when it came to equipment, which leads to number 3, ARCA racing at Pocono. From 1988 to 2019, ARCA would visit Pocono twice a year. That number dropped to 1 date from 2020 to 2023, and has been off the schedule ever since. Now, honestly, this isn't the worst thing that could have happened. The other series run Pocono now, for a while they didn't, and Pocono without pit strategy for the ARCA series kinda stunk. Watching the fastest car in a small field set sail for 2 segments isn't exactly prime viewing. So what we've got in 2007 is essentially something entirely different than we've seen in the past decade. Let's take a look at the familiar names in the field. On pole, we've got Renaissance man racer Bobby Santos. Ran a little bit of NASCAR, runs modifieds, runs USAC Silver Crown sprint cars, and this was his early foray into stock cars. Outside pole is Josh Wise. Ran NASCAR for about a decade, now heavily into driver training and coaching. Starting third in a rare Hendrick Motorsports entry in ARCA, there's super development driver Landon Castle. Rounding out the top 5, a pair of drivers still active and occasionally winning in higher series, in Michael McDowell and Jeremy Clements. 6th is, for some reason, veteran Travis Quaffle in a Roush Fenway car. 7th is Aaron Crocker in what was apparently just a cup car from Ray Evernhand's team, which is a whole other can of worms we're not going to get into here. 8th is Justin Marks, future Trackhouse owner. Then Patrick Sheltra, who won the championship in 2010, and Justin Allgaier, who won the championship in 2008 and just won the Xfinity Championship in 2024. Further back, some more names in Daytona champ Bobby Gerhart, definitely not a crazy person Dominic Casola, big champ Frank Kimmel, who was just having a tough weekend, the Harmonator Mike Harmon, James Hilton, Norm Benning, Dexter Bean, and still active ARCA driver Brad Smith. Well, let's get on with the race. And again, big crowd for this, partly because back in 07, this was the undercard for the Cup Series. No trucks, no Xfinity, ARCA with a full field. Awesome stuff. Santos gets the jump from pole, holding off Wise to the line to lead the first lap. He'll lead the first 4. Castle edges Santos on the back straightaway just as Justin South blows up and the caution comes out. A lot of good stuff under cautions here. Some actual in-car cams, pit reporting, technical reporting, Jim Trito getting it done. Hey, single file restart still. Nice. Castle pulls away on the restart, and for the first segment of the race, it looks like the Hendrick car is the class of the field. There's a caution for, of course, of all people, Justin Marks losing a left front and beating the wall down, and on the restart, it's again Castle. Lap 18, Aaron Crocker has some issues, losing power before gaining it back, and at the same time, Bobby Santos has a tire go down, ending his shot at a good finish. It's Castle, Clements, and Wise the top 3, up until lap 23, when there's more tire trouble, and it's Quaffle dumping debris off the left front. At the same time, more problems for Santos. Something's broke. Most of the leaders pit under this caution, with a few exceptions. Mike Harmon leads a few laps under yellow. So does Casola, who leads the field when they drop the green. But Castle on fresh tires is charging hard. He weaves through traffic among those who stayed out, and the next time around, he passes McDowell, who had passed Casola, and regains the lead, stretching out by the start of lap 33. Issues on lap 39, it's Patrick Sheltra going around and through the grass, and at the same time, again, multiple things going on, Bobby Gerhart's left front gives way. It's a busy pit road under caution, a couple of different strategies to get to the end starting to form. Castle in the 87 stays out and starts to drive away from the field, but, once again, tire troubles strike, and Landon blows a right front heading into turn 1 on lap 46, turning the lead over to McDowell. A lot of pit stops ensue, with McDowell and Wise coming down to top off on fuel, handing the lead to Jeremy Clements. Here, a very young Landon Castle gets interviewed and sounds absolutely crushed by what happened. Definitely go back and watch that one. It winds up being his last start for Hendrick in the series after he DNQs from Talladega later in the year, but the session was rained out. Just one lap into the next stint, we've got a wreck caught on camera from an in-car. Josh Krug sends it in deep and totally wipes out Bobby Santos, a two-car wreck that finally ends the day that had gone all wrong for Santos since the start. And under this caution, the 3 team of Clements makes their bed and declares they're done coming in and topping off for gas, that they're going to stretch from here, and it's going to be close. Phil and Rick in the booth are in disbelief that he's even going to try it. Cautions are helping, especially after what happens on the restart on lap 57, where we've got the big one. 3 wide for second place in the tunnel turn ends in disaster when Bobby Gerhardt gets turned in front of the field. He hits the wall and a bunch of cars pile in. We've got a track blocker. This is actually a serious wreck. Gerhardt was injured in one of the hits, which would end his season, actually end his efforts at racing full time. 15 races the next year in 2008 would be the most he'd ever attempt again, before retiring after another dozen part-time efforts. After stepping away from the 5 in 2007 for injury, Brian Keselowski fills out the rest of the schedule for him. The race is red flagged and restarts on lap 62 of 80, and that doesn't last long. The top 10 is scrambling, McDowell is charging up to 8th, but the scramble spits out Brian Silas. I'm not sure if he blew a tire or just missed the mark, but he's in the wall. Back to yellow, again benefiting Clements in their Hail Mary effort. On the restart, it's Clements, Wise, and Crocker the top 3. Frank Kimmel is up in the top 5 and threatening, but here comes McDowell, still pushing through on fresher tires and a full tank. A lap later, we've got another ugly wreck in turn 1. It's A.J. Henriksen going up the track, clearing out Kimmel and smashing into the wall, 2 red cars locking horns. This really hurt Frank's championship points at the time, but he'd recover, winning back-to-back races at Springfield and Milwaukee before taking home his 9th title at the year's end. The laps are ticking away under yellow as the track is cleaned, and it looks like the attrition is going to pay off. The green flag flies with 7 laps to go. It's Clements on fumes, Wise, Crocker, Mark Mitchell, and Michael McDowell the top 5. Clements is really nursing it around with Wise all over him with 5 to go. McDowell is the fastest car on the track now. With 4 to go, Wise clears Clements off of one but at the cost of momentum, and Clements passes him back in the tunnel turn. This fight draws McDowell in, now up to 3rd, and with 3 to go, they're under a blanket. They hold positions for that lap. With 2 to go at the line, Clements opens it up again with McDowell finding it hard to get around Wise. White flag and McDowell pulls out for the pass, diving under Wise but allowing Clements to pull away to a huge lead as they fight. It'll be 135 miles around Pocono on a single tank of fuel for Jeremy Clements, but he does not have enough to finish under power and painfully sputters coming out of turn 3, and it's Michael McDowell that gets the win as Eddie Sharp Racing goes 1-2 and Clements rolls across in 3rd. Crocker finishes 4th, Allgaier 6th, and Mike Harmon comes home in 10th in a stacked field for what as of today is one of his final top 10 finishes in stock car racing. Clements would get his revenge and get his first win the next race at Nashville. And what kind of sums up the race at Pocono, McDowell states that he couldn't do a burnout coming back around because as he crossed the line to win, he had a tire going down. What a race. All in all, this was just a fun watch. Lots of names, lots of mayhem, and what really stands out is how seriously the Speed Network took the production. From up-to-date timing and scoring, lots of in-car views that were actually relevant, lots of interview with crew members and drivers that had fallen out of the race, kind of things that have fallen by the wayside in recent years, especially the further down the ladder rungs of the series go. Again, a fun and worthwhile watch, kind of low quality like I said, but I'll add the link to the full race in the video description below. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out.